Hey there, it's Candice. It's September, and I am here with your Toronto real estate update for 2023. All right, we made it. It's September. It feels hotter than it was all August and July, and the kids are back in school. I had a lot of my clients who are parents send me really cute memes and pictures of kids going off to school excited for their first day. So let's get right into it. What's now happening in real estate? Well, if you've been following the news, we just heard a major bank announcement. The interest rate is currently holding. They are not putting off the table more interest rate hikes in the future. So what does that mean? Well, obviously this year we've seen a considerable increase in interest hikes. People who have been paying variable mortgage rates have just seen their price point of mortgage increase month after month, and it's just been a lot for a lot of people. It's caused some people to put properties on the market, some people to move and make different decisions in terms of their real estate needs. So it's a bit of a big deal. So with this now, in terms of them holding the interest rate, as they say the economy is weakening, we want to see now where buyers and sellers go, okay? Because what that means now, if it's holding, from what I see out there from myself and those realtors that I speak with in my network, and I'm part of a bunch of billions of Facebook groups that talk all about real estate, a lot of people are kind of waiting, right? They're shifting their holding. There's buyers out there that have money. Obviously there's not as many because the stress test and the qualifying is making it a little bit harder, but there's some out there that are still holding on to some cash and they're just kind of waiting for the right timing to set in place, right? So that's where we're at. So now what we want to see is what's going on moving forward. There is prediction. I hate to use the word prediction, but a lot of people are talking about how this is going to be a really strong fall 2023 and early 2024 real estate market for buyers. And I think that can be true depending on what you're looking for and the geographical location that you're thinking about moving to. But before we get into that, let's talk numbers from August. So the numbers were released, the data was released from the Toronto Real Estate Board on what sold in August. And to be honest with you, kind of an unremarkable month August was. Not too much difference in terms of sales, not too much difference in terms of price point, big difference in terms of listings, which clearly makes sense, right? Because if you don't have to put a property on the market, you're not going to put a property on the market. So with that being said, what's going on market? This is kind of a question I'm getting from a lot of my clients. They're calling me, they're saying, Candice, what's actually selling on market now? Well, basically, people that have to sell. There's no two ways about it. So I'm actually seeing quite a few estate sales. For those of you who aren't aware, really quickly, a estate sale is obviously when someone who has title or ownership of the home passes away. They don't always pass away in the home. Sometimes they do, but not always. So you want to be aware of that. But what it basically means is that the home goes to their estate, goes into probate, and afterwards goes on the market, right? So seeing estate sales, because normally these are, situations where adult children need to or want to sell the property. The other thing, we're seeing condos. Investors are putting condos on the market. A lot of it, we'll call them like mom and pop investors or investors that maybe have one or two units. They're kind of getting themselves in a hot water because a couple of years ago, when it was really easy to borrow money, and we were getting really good interest rates, a lot of people bought these investment condos and they were getting tenants in and things were working great. Well, now tenants are becoming a bit of a nightmare, and we're seeing a lot of stories out there where tenants are actually leaving contracts early in terms of lease agreements that they've signed. They're not paying rent. They're saying it's too expensive. I can't afford it. They're, signing on the dotted line for a property, moving in, and then a month later saying, I gotta go, give me back my deposit. And this is just causing a lot of headaches for landlords. So when I'm talking with my individuals who are thinking about going into real estate investing, number one rule I always tell people is you have to look at it like a business, right? It is not a passive investment vehicle. There's a lot of passiveness to it, and you can find property managers and different individuals that can help you manage it, but it is still a business, and I kind of say you have to look at it like that. It still needs hands-on management. It has to be approached like that. So we're starting to see that. The biggest thing we're starting to see in the condo market is deals falling through. I'm seeing this a lot now where a deal will be put, or a condo will be put under contract for the deal. It'll be sold conditional based off of financing and a status certificate review. Comes to the day of closing on the conditions and they can't get mortgage financing. And this is just changing from week to week. So this is even different than what it was a few weeks ago, right? The stress test coming in and changing everything as well. So this is making it really, really hard for some people to buy property and also some sellers to actually sell property. All right. So where does that leave you? Well, I want to give you some opportunities to look forward to, because we all know it's doom and gloom and everyone can complain about real estate, and that's absolutely perfectly acceptable. But I choose to focus on the positive, and I like to say that every market has opportunities if you can look and find the silver lining of it. So let's talk first towards my buyers. If you're thinking about buying, this can be the time. I'm actually actively in contact with all my buyer clients who are in a position to buy and who have expressed interest to buy. And, I'm really kind of looking at the numbers very granularly with them, looking at the data, making sure that they understand their different neighborhoods, what's going up in value, what's going down in value. So for example, Toronto price points are still up, York Region price points still up, but if you're moving outside of the downtown core, places like Kitchener, it's going a bit down. So depending on where you want to move to in or around the GTA might be a really good opportunity. First thing you want to do, talk with your mortgage broker or bank. If you don't know anybody or you don't have anybody that you trust, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to give you a list of individuals that you can actually contact, as well as questions you should be asking so you are prepared. You don't have to right now step into the process of getting a pre-approval right away. You can still go into the process of just getting information, but it's really good to have that knowledge is power, because I get the other end where someone will contact me saying, Candice found this great property, let's go see it, let's go buy it. And then I'm like, great. Have you talked with the mortgage broker or bank? Nah, I didn't do that. Yeah, let's go see it. And of course, I really like the shiny objects too, but it pays to go and talk to a mortgage broker first, because A, you really then have that finite budget of what you're working with, and B, you're not going to get your heart broken, right? Because you don't want to go and look at something awesome, find out that right now that is not realistic, and boom, that's going to color everything. Now, with that being said, if you want to be a property owner, if you would like to own real estate, there's ways to do it. I work actively with a lot of clients where we make an actual plan on how to do that. You plan for retirement, don't you? So maybe you can plan to be a homeowner if that's your goal, right? Everything is possible if you can actually look at what it is you want to achieve and look at the plan kind of around that, okay? If you are a seller, well, it's no surprise, if you don't have to sell, you don't sell, right? And I'm recommending that to a lot of my sellers as well. Holding on to things, looking at what the market's going to be next fall or summer. It's actually not that far away. Time goes really, really fast. But if you are in a situation where you are trying to upsize, so for example, let's say you have a condo right now and you want to buy a detached house, this could be an opportunity, and I'll tell you why. You are absolutely going to lose out on the value of the condo. I'm not going to lie to you. You are not going to get as much as you might have got for it, say, a little while ago. That being said, you're also not going to pay as much for your house, and you know that, right? So again, this is very specific to what you might be trying to do. Again, we want to look at areas, geography, what you actually want to purchase in terms of a freehold. All this stuff comes into play, but it could be an option, and for a lot of my sellers who are thinking that way, it can make sense, right? If you're making a move that is actually a leap ahead instead of a lateral move, that can actually help you more in the long run. And then in terms of my investors, well, I just say be careful, because again, a lot of people are getting into hot water. They weren't realizing that the interest rates were going to spike this much. They're having kind of trouble in terms of figuring out what they want to do. Now, that being said, there are not a lot of foreclosures. I have a lot of clients that are saying, Candice, can you get me a list of distress sales? And we'll talk about that in a minute. When I talk about foreclosures, it means people that are not actively paying their mortgages to the point that the banks are repossessing the home and putting them back on the market. Instead, what banks are doing and mortgage brokers are doing is they're refinancing terms, refinancing the amortization period. So instead of paying for 25 years, maybe now it's 30 years, right? So they're still getting money every month, right? And that's the important thing, and that's how people are staying in their homes. In terms of also investing, I think the biggest thing I'm seeing out there is trying to work with my clients to find creative solutions. So one thing I'm recommending to a lot of people is Hey, do you know anybody else you can go in on a home deal with? Do you have any family members that you guys can come together and purchase something? Do you have any friends that you want to come together and purchase something? There's people that I know that instead of buying condos on their own, they're coming together and they're buying triplexes and duplexes so they can actually live in each individual unit and still have a unit out for rent. This is a smart way of investing. Some people call it house hacking. These are kind of opportunities that you want to look towards. If you are looking for distress sales as an investor, I want to kind of get clear about this because I've been getting this call recently from some individuals, and I've been talking about this with a couple other realtors. Distress can mean a few different things, right? Distress sometimes means, hey, I want a house that completely has been gutted, or maybe there was a fire or something, and I'm able to take it down to the studs and rebuild. I'm okay with that. That's a distress sale, right? But you really want to have a lot of experience for that. Distress sale might also be somebody that bought a pre-build and is not going to be able to close on it due to the interest rate hikes, and so they are selling it at cost or for a little bit less, okay? I want to be clear about this because I still sometimes get calls from people that say, Candice, find me a really good deal. And yes, pricing is good right now. But in terms of the deal, you want to be careful how you qualify that, right? I'm still not seeing anything being given away. So I'm not seeing anything go for below market value. We're getting a good savings, don't get me wrong. If you're in the market already, it's a savings, right? But I'm not seeing anything that's going for, like, say, a steal. And the reason I know that is if it was going for a steal, real estate agents would be buying those properties on their own, right? Because think of it. As us as realtors having access to this information, if it was a steal market, you'd see a bunch of realtors, popping up a bunch of properties. So that's something to kind of consider with this. And I think the biggest thing you always want to think about is the long form kind of rules of real estate investing, which is holding on to it long term. And I think the problem is a lot of people don't really know what long term looks like. For me, I always tell clients I'd love us to be able to hold on to it for at least 5 years. The more the better. I'd really like to be able to hold on to property and then either use it to purchase the next property and upsize so we get a better asset, or to even be able to take that property, take out the equity of that property through a HELOC and buy something else, So there's lots of different interesting, creative opportunities out there if home ownership is something that you're looking for. Once again, I'm also working with a lot of clients that don't even want to buy in Ontario. We're buying in Calgary, which, by the way, is still going up in price point. We're buying in places like Halifax, New Brunswick, kind of moving out of that center core right now so they can have an investment as an asset. So there are a million things you can do in terms of real estate investing. It just is a matter of what it is you're trying to accomplish, what are your goals, and what's that plan in place, okay? And then I always leave this off by saying knowledge is power. And what I mean by that is talk to people that actually are boots on ground, that see what's happening every day, because it's great getting information from the news or your neighbor or somebody, but if you're not talking with a proper real estate broker or a bank, somebody that does this 24/7 all day, every day, especially with a real estate agent and a real estate lawyer, then you're not getting the full picture, right? You get to always make the decision of what makes sense for you. I always tell my clients, it is not up to me to tell you when to buy or sell. I have a lot of clients that go, Candice, tell me, is now the right time to buy? Tell me. You know what? This is a decision you have to make on your own. Nobody can tell you that because it comes with pros and cons. But what I can assist in doing is I can give you information and direct you to the right sources to get the information so you have all the hard and clear data and information to make the best decision for yourself and to keep you out of landmines and make sure that you're not going to come into a problem, say 6 months or a year from now saying, oh my gosh, why didn't I know that, right? That's our job. That's what we do. So I think if you're out there right now and you're watching this and you're going, what's going on with the Toronto real estate market? Well, it's not very much different than it was in July. I wish I could tell you something different, right? We still have, not a lot of inventory out there. People are still holding back. A lot of people are getting really frustrated that they're getting locked out of the market right now. And unless the government kind of comes in and puts a long-term solution in play, we might see this aspect for a little bit of time. So this is where you really want to look and say, okay, if this is something that's going to be going on for the next little bit, how do I want to play this, right? That's the best thing that you want to kind of think about. But other than that, I want to thank everybody out there for watching this video. If you have any questions out there, I always love talking to people. So you can always shoot me an email, book a consultation, completely free and no pressure. I know how stressful it is to contact an agent and you don't want to have them try to sell you something. That's the last thing somebody wants. Just somebody to kind of give you information, to give you an update on what's going on. I'd be happy to do that for you. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel so you can get more content like this. And other than that, I hope everybody is doing well out there, taking care of yourselves and each other. Bye now.